Pierre Poilievre released a new ad today, absolutely destroying Mark Carney. And I have that to show you with a bunch of other clips. Before that, I want to start off with a post that JGenXer posted over on X. He says, even some of Mark Carney's own supporters are now openly appreciating Pierre Poilievre's points. That's not a win for Carney. When the people who are supposed to be his base start nodding along to the guy he spent the entire campaign trying to paint as an extreme and dangerous, it tells you everything you need to know, etc., etc., etc. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to get into this. And again, another brilliant ad by Pierre Poilievre along with a couple other videos. Before I get into it, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps grow the channel, and I appreciate you guys so much for that. Let's get into it, and then we'll talk about it after like usual.
Canada will never solve the housing crisis. In a bit of a strange development, I wholeheartedly agree with something Pierre Poilievre has said. He recently criticized the federal and BC governments for committing $3 billion to convert empty condos in Vancouver into affordable housing. So what's wrong with that? So last month in Metro Vancouver, there were over 4,000 empty condos, which is a 76% increase from a year ago. And Carney said that the government is going to use the right financial mechanisms to convert these condos that would sit empty for maybe another couple of years into affordable housing. Here's why that makes no sense. Everyone says we need to build homes because of this most basic economic graph, supply and demand. When supply meets demand or supply outstrips demand, prices go down, which is good because nobody can afford to live anywhere. So in Metro Vancouver, over the last year, supply has increased 76% in comparison to demand. So what might that do? Well, eventually, that would cause the condo developers to lower their prices to a point where the demand was there for those condos. It's not that there aren't 4,000 people who would like to live in a condo. It's that there aren't 4,000 people who are going to pay around $1 million to live in a shoebox. But instead, the government is interrupting that most basic of economic processes by buying out these condos, bailing out the developers before they can see a loss. Which I once again agree with Pierre Poilievre when he says that this is privatizing the profits and socializing the losses. This is why homes will never be affordable, because for all of the talk of building new homes to lower prices, of affordability measures, of the right financial options, whatever those things may be, the second that developers start losing money, the government comes to the rescue. But they're going to make them into affordable housing, you say. Which is true, except taxpayers pay in part for affordable housing. Part of it is subsidized. So on top of the $3 billion that we're paying to buy the condos in the first place, we're then subsidizing the rent. Which isn't to say we shouldn't do it, but having the market actually correct to overall change the value of housing so that it's affordable is a lot more effective than having the government subsidize it indefinitely in order for people to be able to afford it. But watching housing in this country unfold is infuriating. Because data shows that we have enough supply. We have had enough supply the entire time. What it also shows is that financialization is the problem. And the second the market starts to correct for the fact that we, in some cases, have an oversupply, the government steps in to ensure that prices remain high so developers can make money. Meanwhile, some of your social services are being cut, and your tax dollars are going to subsidize those developers to ensure that they can keep prices at a point where you can never afford a home. That's building Canada strong.
Well, buddy, you voted for it, right? That's what you guys over there in liberal delusional land do. You vote for it, you complain about the result, then you continue to vote for it. If you agree with Pierre Poilievre on this, is this really the only time you agree with Pierre Poilievre? Okay, because he's got some good plans to, keep criminals in jail and lower taxes that actually help Canadians instead of just giving out handouts. But hey, I mean, what do you expect from a liberal, right? They're going to complain about it, and then they're going to vote for it, and then they're going to complain about it, and they're going to vote for it. And then when things go wrong, they're going to blame everybody else except the person they voted for. At least this guy has given Mark Carney some crap, so I'll give him a little bit of credit there. Now it's Pierre Poilievre's turn to take his shot at Mark Carney, deservingly so. And Larry Brock actually posted this on his account. He says, inflation up, grocery prices up, taxes up, debt up. Mark Carney is just another liberal. He sure is.
Now, Mark Carney promised that he would be judged by the prices at the grocery store.
The Canadians will hold account.
by their experience at the grocery store.
That was over a year ago. He then went on to say that affordability was the best that it had been in a decade.
Affordability is the best it's been in over a decade.
After a year and a half of Mark Carney, it's more costs, more taxes, more debt, more of the same.
Inflation is up 3.2%, largely driven by gasoline prices. And ultimately what that means for Canadians is that things are getting more expensive.
Mr. Carney, my message to you is we do not need any more excuses. You promised affordable food. You promised a growing economy. You delivered a recession and inflation. Now, Mark Carney.
Short and sweet. I do also like when Pierre puts out the longer ads. I wish they would get rid of the music. I'm probably gonna have to cut that out, or else I'm gonna get hit by a copyright for some reason. Even though it's not like some song by an artist, it's like one of those generically produced songs, or it's produced by AI. But either way, it's got a point. Mark Carney really actually said that life's affordable now more than any other time in the last decade. I mean, he says these crazy things. He goes and spends all our tax money on these crazy things, sends it to other countries. Everything gets worse. And somehow they keep winning elections. Canadians really ought to stop voting for pain and fear. Probably should start voting for hope. Now, here's an awesome video here from the real Mr. Bench. Sean Fraser just threw Trudeau under the bus. Trudeau's friend. Trudeau's cabinet minister. Trudeau's loyal defender. Now Fraser admits the previous liberal government could have and should have gone further on crime. So they knew, and they waited. On purpose, Canada got worse. Whoops. So here's one of our favorite liberal dopes to talk about that. Thank God this video is only 40 seconds.
There have been calls for these changes for a long time. So what were the stumbling blocks? Why did it take so long for the government to act in this regard?
I really speak with first-hand knowledge from my own appointment into this position. As you can appreciate, with different responsibilities before this moment, I was aware of some of the initiatives that were going on, but not personally as plugged into these conversations. I would disagree that there has been delay from that particular moment in time, but I would be the first to acknowledge that perhaps under the previous government we could have and should have gone further. But let's not rehash the challenges of the past. Let's focus on listening to the people who know how to solve these problems today.
Hey, forget about the last 10 years, okay, Canada? Just forget about it. Let's focus on people who know how to fix the issues. Really, Sean Fraser. Housing minister, failed. Immigration minister, failed. And now you're pretending that you know how to fix the justice system in this country? Every time this dude talks, he makes a fool out of himself. And what does Mark Carney do? After a two-time failed minister starts or somehow wins his election after saying he was going to resign for personal and family reasons, Mark Carney says, hey, you want a third shot at it? I remember my jaw hitting the floor when Mark Carney appointed this clown to be our justice minister. But hey, we live in a clown world. Now, here is another clip from RMC 86. Clips from the past few weeks. Does this look like the strongest economy, or second strongest, depending on which liberal is croaking out lies in the G7? Something's got to give. More lies from Mark Carney.
Today predicts that Canada.
But what else did you expect, right?
Today predicts that Canada will have the second strongest economy in the G7.
The economy is weak. It hasn't grown really in the last year.
More than half of Canadians believe that we're currently in this word called recession because they are struggling.
Why aren't our incomes keeping pace anymore with inflation?
Like even at McDonald's right over there, like I'm trying to buy a meal, it's like $20, which is like kind of crazy for me.
1,300 workers at Bell, which owns CTV News, found out today their services would no longer be required.
Feeling the pinch.
Grocery prices are tough for everyone.
Ogden was forced to buy groceries with her credit card.
I had to stop it because it's maxed out and I couldn't keep up.
Nearly half say they've
reduced or stopped buying premium meat cuts. And nearly 4 in 10 said they've switched to store or no-name brands.
47% of those surveyed say they are struggling to put food on the table.
Food inflation will keep rising through to next year.
Nothing goes back down. Since the pandemic, it all seems to go up.
It's bad. It's putting more hole in your pocket.
Well, these numbers are bad for Canadians.
It could get worse and probably is going to get worse.
There's going to be a reckoning.
We're going to build the strongest economy in the G7.
And that's what they keep pointing out to. Oh, but it's going to get better. Guys, we're going to, okay? I know it's bad now, but we're gonna make things better, okay? We promise. Trust me. That's what they're doing. And when Philippe Francois Champagne speaks, even his caucus members can't keep a straight face. I mean, people are seemingly starting to figure out that this guy, Mark Carney, is not making things better. The problem is so many of them are going to continue to blame Trump. I'd like to think that people are going to get sick of it. Liberal MPs resign or sit as independents, cross to the NDP. Carney loses his majority. We get a vote of non-confidence with Pierre actually ahead in the polls instead of being ahead in the polls without an election coming up. And then we could all hopefully be on a better path. But as long as Trump derangement syndrome runs wild, I mean, we're just going to have to suffer through it. When's the Trump derangement syndrome? Like, when are people going to cure themselves with that? Is it going to be when Trump's gone? Well, that's a couple of years from now. When's their election? Well, about a year and a half. Now, that being said, midterms are coming up, and if the Democrats take the House and the Senate, Trump's a lame duck president. Therefore, we can't really do anything. Tariffs could be removed. And all of a sudden, Mark Carney doesn't have his boogeyman. So who knows? Maybe things will start to, after a rough summer, a very expensive summer, maybe people cut back on vacations. Trump becomes a lame duck president in November. People have a crappy Christmas. And then all of a sudden, January and February come along and people are sick and tired of it. And Anita Anand and Sean Fraser actually decide to keep their word and resign this time. Who knows? There's also a bunch of by-elections coming up in the summer. I think there's 6, and the Liberals need to win 1 to hold their majority. They probably will. But again, it could be a very shaky majority. And who knows how long that's going to last. It's very hard to predict. But I would love nothing more for an election to come sometime in the next year. Now, last video I got for you here is this from Ryan Garrettson, sorry. More Canadians are now traveling to the U.S. than they were a couple months ago. Get ready for a ramp up of anti-American propaganda from the media, as this news will drive them nuts. Sure will. So let's have a look again. This is another quick video here.
Well, Stats Canada does keep track on where Canadians are traveling and who's coming to Canada. And this data today is fairly interesting. For 15 months, Statistics Canada had shown a trend that Canadians were largely skipping trips to the United States. Their elbows were up and they were shunning U.S. travel in a boycott. But that trend seems to be reversed. New data that's out today from Statistics Canada shows that for the very first time since January 2025, more Canadians are actually traveling to the United States, an increase of 1.8%. Now, 1.8% increase doesn't seem that significant, but that's still a lot of people who are traveling to the United States, especially in comparison to before. This data was for April, but back in March, we actually saw a decline of about 6% of people who were traveling to the United States. So clearly more Canadians are choosing to go to the U.S. Well,
Yeah, I mean, it's not a huge number, but again, it's weird that it's increasing again. So again, maybe the TDS is starting to wear off from people. I don't know. It's hard to say, but yeah, it's like, how long can you keep people scared, right? Usually that kind of stuff lasts a couple years. Well, here we are, almost a year and a half into Mark Carney's tenure. What do you got, 6 months left? July, August, September, October, November, December, right around Christmas. And if people aren't very happy because they can't travel, can't go to Florida like they usually do, or wherever they go, or they can't afford, presents for their kids, or they got to cut back, they're going to be pissed off. People don't like having to cut back. And then, you'll have I'm not Chrystia Freeland now, she's gone, but when things started to get really hard under Trudeau, she was saying things like, well, just cut back on your Disney subscription. People don't want to do that. And they shouldn't have to because of your failed policies. Again, why is Canada not the greatest country in the world? It should be. At least in the top 2. But we keep falling behind. Our youth are miserable. They have no hope. And what do you expect? I just hope the youth wakes up and doesn't fall for this propaganda and become very conservative. Because fiscal conservative and social conservatism is what we need. It's not just about the finances, the climate change fear-mongering and all the taking down our flag to put up another flag just because it's a certain month. Give me a break. There's no need to remove the Canadian flag. You want to celebrate whatever? Go ahead. But whatever you're celebrating in Canada is Canadian. There's no need to remove our flag. It's stupid. But that's what you get with the Liberal government. And they're not going to change, not until they lose many elections in a row, and hopefully even official party status. They deserve to be absolutely buried, just like the Ontario Liberals were. Now, they're making a comeback because Ford's time is up. But we got to get rid of these guys for a long time, hopefully forever, but let's be reasonable here. We need a strong conservative government with common sense and a bunch of tax cut, no climate change fear-mongering, pipelines, mines, productivity. Why can't we do it? And do it quickly. Fix the immigration system, the crime system, the housing market. Governments are usually pretty slow. Even though Mark Carney promised that things would get done at speeds in which we've never seen before. Well, I guess slow is a speed. The Conservatives want to get things done. They didn't want to take a vacation this summer. They want to keep going. They want to actually do things for this country to help. And if they're lying, and they actually don't, and Pierre's doing all this just for a show, just to be Prime Minister, well then guess what? His political career isn't going to last much longer. Because he's going to piss off the very same people who prop them up, and that's not a good idea. We will hold the Conservatives accountable to make sure that they do what they promise.